search warrant! DEA, please search warrant!
Narcs. Agents with a single mission: busting drug traffickers.
Down the ground!
Get in the car. Come on, don't move.
An enemy fueled by the power of greed.
They would be not hesitant at all to kill you.
The Narcs try to look like the enemy.
You dressed like them, you talked like them, you acted like them.
And think like the enemy.
You have to be a little bit creative, a little bit streetwise, a little bit crazy maybe.
It's a dangerous game.
Our lives depended on it.
Some agents go bad. The temptations are powerful.
Once you succumb to the dark side of the force, it becomes opportunity more than greed.
Then there are the Narcs who fight to the death and lose. Guadalajara, the second largest city in Mexico. To the untrained eye, it's just a typical tourist attraction. But to the expert eye of a narc, it's the main artery for drug flow into the United States and a haven for drug traffickers.
They were smuggling cocaine from Colombia through South America, Central America to Guadalajara, up to Arizona and Southern California.
In 1981, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, America's drug police, Camarena joined 3 other DEA agents in Guadalajara. Their task? Help staunch the flow of drugs from Mexico into the U.S. But the gunman managed to tattoo a bullseye pattern on the driver's side. It was a warning. Less than 4 months later, at 2:15 in the afternoon on February 7th, 1985, Special Agent Camarena was walking across this street in front of the U.S. consulate in Guadalajara. Waiting on the other side, a car full of men brandishing guns and badges. They forced Camarena into this car and drove him to this house owned by drug kingpin Caro Quintero. Quintero had a score to settle. It was his plantation that Camarena had located and destroyed 3 years earlier. Agent Camarena was subjected to hours of torture and forced to answer a staggering stream of questions. At the time, all the DEA knew was that Camarena was missing. The Narcs responded the only way they knew how. Just like in a narcotics investigation, they turned to their underworld contacts for answers.
The first thing we did was to get on the telephone and start calling informants or sources that knew people in places around town. There was no way would even accept the fact or the idea that we weren't going to find him.
Information started to trickle in, and the obvious was being confirmed. Camarena had been kidnapped by the same drug traffickers he had targeted in his investigation.
I think there was real concern that through informants and otherwise that Agent Camarena was getting too close to exposing what these traffickers obviously thought was a gold mine.
The Narcs then found a witness to the abduction, the chauffeur of the Consul General. And finally, one of Camarena's informants was missing. He had been abducted from the Guadalajara airport in the same fashion as Camarena, and on the same day. The clock was ticking. 48 hours had passed since Agent Camarena disappeared. The agents knew this was a matter of life and death. DEA headquarters in Washington dispatched 25 agents to Guadalajara to accompany Mexico's version of the FBI, the Federales, on their search. Officially, the Federales were in charge of the investigation, but the Narcs knew of corruption within their ranks. The DEA hoped 25 U.S. narcs on the scene would serve as a constant reminder that America meant business. But by all appearances, the Federales were dragging their feet.
We investigated the killing of Kiki Camarena because we thought we were most familiar with the major traffickers who we believed to be involved in the killing.
The narcs focused their efforts on 3 major drug lords: Quintero, his partner Ernesto Fonseca, and their boss, Feliz Gallardo. The agents wanted to get enough evidence to prove their hunch to the Mexican federales without telling them everything they knew. The narcs trusted no one. Then the DEA agents got a break. After convincing the federales to allow them to go along on a search of Gallardo's house, they found a snapshot of Camarena among Gallardo's papers.
How did he get it? Nobody knows. Who took it? No one remembers having taken it. No DEA agent remembers having taken that photo. What's the significance of the photo being in Feliz Gallardo's possession? Yeah, you would almost think that he had a fixation.
It was important to send a message, a strong message to drug traffickers that if they mess with a DEA agent, there are going to be some consequences to it.
On the street, they're called narcs. To be a federal narcotics agent, it takes first and foremost guts.